This is my first video update coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus on this Tuesday morning. Let's talk about some news. And we have Russian President Vladimir Putin along with Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and I believe Lavrov as well, if I'm not mistaken, and Peskov also, and a whole delegation of Russian leaders and businessmen. They all made a trip to Belarus, and Putin held talks with Lukashenko. And the big story, or perhaps we should say the big speculation, is that this delegation of Russian leaders is in Belarus to coordinate with Lukashenko, the Belarusian leader, to coordinate the next moves in the conflict in Ukraine. And the thinking is that Russia is either going to be preparing some sort of offensive from Belarus south in order to either encircle Kiev or to cut off the flow of weapons and mercenaries and NATO guys from the west to the east front lines, or that Belarus and all the Russian troop presence and the military presence in Belarus is there to deter any type of Western moves once the Russians begin some sort of big offensive, perhaps in the south, perhaps towards Odessa and Transnistria, perhaps towards, after Bakhmut is complete, perhaps towards Dnipro. Who knows? No one really knows what the plan is. That's obvious. No one is exactly sure what is going on, and obviously Putin decided to go to Belarus because outside of the economic deals that they signed, the business deals and cooperation that they signed in Minsk, obviously Putin prefers to speak with Lukashenko face to face. Probably much more secure to do things that way. He wanted to fill in Lukashenko in person. And I think there wouldn't be this much speculation as to what's going to happen, or at least there wouldn't be this much speculation as to this trip to Belarus and what's going to happen with Belarus from a military perspective if Shoigu wasn't also on this trip. The fact that the defense minister Shoigu accompanied Putin on this trip to Belarus is kind of raising all of the red flags with regards to, okay, this is not just a trip where Putin travels to Minsk so they can sign cooperation agreements and on the economic level. Shoigu is there, so there's more to this than just business deals. So the interesting part about whatever happens, who knows whether Belarus is going to be, and the Russian cooperation with Belarus, whether it's going to be used as a deterrent, whether it's going to be used as a launch pad for some offensive, time will tell. Whether nothing happens, whether it's just, nothing at all. It's just the troops are there and that's that. They are deploying Iskanders. Actually, Lukashenko said that Iskanders are already there. And the I think he said S-400s are already set up to prevent those, to protect those Iskanders. So everything's set up from a military perspective. Everything is set up in Belarus for something, defensive purposes, offensive purposes, whatever. But the interesting part about this, the Belarus thread in this entire Ukraine Russia NATO proxy war is that just 3-4 years ago, Belarus was actually flirting with with Europe and the European Union and the collective West. I mean, Belarus was actually like Lukashenko was considering aligning with the collective West to a certain extent. He was playing it down the middle for so many years. He was playing Russia off against Europe, Europe off against Russia, and he was playing it neutral. You could say neutral. You could say he was playing both sides, whichever way you want to look at it. But Lukashenko was perfectly fine dealing with the EU and the European Union and the collective West, and it took a coup, an attempted coup d'état, because the leaders of the collective West and the European Union, they said enough of this fence sitting from Lukashenko. We're going to just take Belarus. Enough of this neutrality. Enough of playing both sides. We're just going to remove Lukashenko and we're going to take the country. We're going to grab this chess piece, and then after we get Belarus, and we surround Russia on the Belarus side of things, then we'll move down towards Ukraine. That was the thinking. That was just 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. But I mean, yeah, Belarus was not in this, in the Russian camp 100%. Now it is. I mean, now Putin is calling it, the most trusted ally of Russia. I mean, Belarus is pretty much now integrated with Russia on all levels, military, economic, on all levels now. Belarus is fully integrated into Russia because Lukashenko, after the attempted coup, Lukashenko said, crap, I can't have these guys as friends. I can't, these guys are going to eat me alive. So he had to run to Putin. I mean, the failed coup in Belarus was the greatest gift that the collective West could give Russia and Putin, because it put Lukashenko 100% into Russia's orbit. He realized he had nowhere to go, and so now Belarus is Russia. It's part of that sphere 100%. Just 3-4 years ago, it wasn't like that. But you see, the European Union, NATO, collective West, they just couldn't have a neutral, fence-sitting, playing both sides Belarus. They had to take it. And it kind of speaks to their overall larger plan, which has always been to surround Russia, piece by piece. Serbia, Belarus, Ukraine. Their goal has always been to take all of Russia's allies, or the countries that Russia has good relations with. Maybe you could say the countries in the Orthodox world, in the Slavic Orthodox world, whatever, in the Ruski Mir. Take all of those pieces off the chessboard one by one until you're left with just a Russia surrounded by NATO. Belarus, Serbia is gone, Belarus is gone, Ukraine is gone, and Russia is a sitting duck, right? That's always been the plan. And they tried it with Belarus, they failed, and then they moved on to Ukraine. They tried it in Kazakhstan as well. Remember, right after Belarus, they tried the coup in Kazakhstan, and that failed. And then everything ramped up towards Ukraine, the big prize. So that's the story with Belarus, which is really a wait and see. We're not really sure what is going to happen, and we're going to have to wait over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks to see what happens, if anything happens from Belarus, whether it's an offensive, whether it's just a deterrent, or whether the meeting was all about economic cooperation. But the fact that Shoigu was there, I think, is the big tell that this was much more than just a trip to sign some business deals. So since we're talking about business deals and economics, well, the EU, they've gone and done it now, haven't they? They have agreed to a price cap, a gas price cap. They got the oil price cap, and now they've agreed to a gas price cap. And this was announced just yesterday. The price cap on wholesale gas will be at 180 euros per megawatt hour, according to Reuters, citing representatives of the Czech Republic. So there you have it. They've agreed at 180. Just a couple of days ago, I was talking about how the price was going to be set at 265, and then various EU member states were saying, no, this is too generous. Let's put it to 160. I heard rumors about a day and a half ago, I want to say, that it was going to be at 188, the price, and it looks like they settled at 180 euros per megawatt hour. As I always like to say when we talk about price caps from the European Union, 99 cents, that should have been the final price. And it should have been 99 cents, not per megawatt hour, but per euro watt hour. 99 cents per euro watt hour. What is a euro watt? It's anything you want it to be. It's anything that Ursula von der Crazy wants it to be. Any commodity coming out of Russia, they should just price it. They should put a cap on it of 99 cents per euro watt hour. And so the Russians can scratch their head and they could go, what the hell's a euro watt? What the hell's a euro watt hour? And then Ursula can, sit in Brussels and say, well, it's whatever I want it to be. So anyway, why 180? 99 cents, man. 99 cents. Everything. Oil, gas, grain, wheat, titanium, uranium, nickel, whatever. Just make it 99 cents a euro watt hour. Yeah, but how do you price grain at 99 cents a euro watt hour? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, damn it. That's the price. That's the price cap. Oh, boy. Anyway, yeah, this is not going to end well. We all know it's not going to end well. But, there you have it. Keep on digging. Don't stop digging, Europe. It gets better. The story on gas gets better. But first, the Kremlin responded. And Peskov told journalists, I believe, while he was in Belarus, we got the news of this price cap, this gas price cap. So now we have an oil price cap. Now we have a gas price cap. And Peskov said, and I quote, "This is a violation of the market price discovery process and infringement upon the market process itself." This is what he told journalists. He said that any references to the ceiling cannot be accepted. Russia would need time to carefully evaluate all pros and cons while working on its response measures, Peskov noted, adding that a response to the oil cap had been somewhat delayed for similar reasons. The Russians are going to do what they always do best, which is just wait, patience, and the long game. Wait and see, and then make their move. So they're going to allow the EU to just keep on digging and digging their hole, and then they're going to wait for the right time to respond and to retaliate. And it is not going to be good for Europe and for the European Union. It's not going to be good for businesses. It's not going to be good for customers. But this is what they've decided. They had to have the oil price cap. They had to have the gas price cap. And much of this is driven not for the reasons of pushing Russia's economy to tatters or to stop Putin's war machine. This is more ideologically driven than anything else. I would actually say that this is less about the conflict and more about the green ideology. That would be my guess. But who knows? Who knows? Paul Joseph Watson did a great video the other day, and he talked about the carbon tax that the EU has passed. In 2000, I believe it's 2020, 26 maybe, or 27, or 25. I forgot the year, but the EU, they've passed legislation for a carbon tax on consumers and businesses. So just because you exist and you move around, because you move around in this world, the EU is now going to tax you on an individual level and on a business level. And Paul Joseph Watson, in his video, he brought up a great point. He said no one is talking about this. They kind of passed this legislation, on the sly, on the down low. Not much fanfare, just kind of passed it, and that's that. So another tax. But this tax is meant to keep you in place. It's meant to make sure that you don't use your car, that you don't drive around, that you don't travel anywhere. You want to travel around a lot? Well, you're going to pay a heavy tax for that. And this is going to come to the United States, and it's going to come to Canada. Actually, I believe Canada is already, they're already tying carbon to credit cards or to purchases or something like that. I read an article the other day that you already have credit cards which are tied to your carbon footprint and things like that. So I mean, all of this stuff is being slowly or quickly, depending on how you look at it, pushed out. And in this case, I think that with the oil price cap and the gas price cap, while these knuckleheads may actually believe this is going to hurt Russia, I think there's a lot of people in power that understand that Russia, Ukraine, that's the sideshow. The real purpose is to make sure that people lose their freedom of movement, right? And of course, the carbon tax is going to make the green oligarchs, the oligarchs that are involved in renewables and green energy, that's going to make them a whole lot of money. So I said things are going to get more interesting with this price cap story, with the gas story from the EU, and it is interesting. It did get a lot more interesting because of Qatar Gate, and Qatar. Well, they responded to the EU Parliament's the resolution that they passed the other day, barring Qatari representatives from stepping foot in EU headquarters. And so the Qatari government, well, they said that the EU Parliament's decision on Thursday is discriminatory. It is discriminatory, and they said that it will negatively affect regional and global security cooperation, as well as ongoing discussions around global energy poverty and security. Qatar said that they are a key supplier of LNG to not only Germany, but to the European Union. They said that Brussels is making no effort to engage with our government to establish the facts once they become aware of the allegations. I'm kind of chuckling, I'm laughing as I read this, because I'm actually reading this for kind of the first time. I saw this story and I bookmarked it because I knew it was going to be interesting. But basically, because of Qatar Gate, because of no. Yes. It is a thought. Hey, you know. Cheers. Because of Qatar Gate, the fact that they're now saying that Qatar is paying off MPs and all of this stuff, and they gave money to MPs for the World Cup and all of these things. I lost my train of thought there. Because of Qatar Gate, the EU is prohibiting Qatari representatives from stepping foot in EU headquarters, and so now Qatar, their retaliation is no LNG for the European Union. It's tragic, but what can you do but laugh at this? I mean, it's this. Oh yeah. So because a couple of EU MEPs got 600,000 euros in, I don't know, let's say they did. These are the allegations. Let's say all of this is true. And some MEPs, they took 600,000 euros in cash from Qatar in order to talk up the World Cup. Okay. It's not good. It's corruption, but all right. Does it mean you have to submarine your entire gas deal with Qatar? I mean, is it really worth it? Is it really worth destroying your gas cooperation with Qatar over Eva Kaili, a former TV news anchor, and her alleged corruption, if that's even the case? We don't even know if any of this is true. And Qatar, rightly so, they're saying, let us in on the investigation. And that's correct, actually. You know, if you trust us as a partner, if you value our cooperation, especially in the sphere of energy, and you think of us as a very trusted and important partner, why are you doing us like this? That's what Qatar is saying. Why are you being like this? Let us also give our side of the story, or let us also participate in this investigation. But nope, the EU, it's those EU values. We know best. We know best. What we say is final. And so, yeah, because of Qatar Gate, it looks like the EU is going to lose Qatari LNG. Possibly lose Qatari LNG. That's the threat that Qatar is making. That's the chess move. I'll move a Qatar Gate, Eva Kaili corruption, and then Qatar says, okay, I'll see your Eva Kaili Qatar Gate World Cup corruption, and I'll move no more LNG gas to Germany and to the European Union. How about that? Yeah. Anyway, let's do a clown world. And since we're talking about the World Cup, let's talk about. Actually, first, let me pass on what Putin said about the World Cup, and then I'll get into the World Cup clown world. So Putin was asked during the press conference in Belarus. He was asked about the World Cup and his thoughts, and he said that he watched the second half from the moment when the score was already 2-2. He said, I watched the extra time. Then, of course, I couldn't resist calling the Argentinian president to congratulate him. Argentina is a football country, and people there are passionate about it. I think they deserve that victory. As for Macron, business relations with him were similar to those with many other colleagues, Putin said. Lukashenko joked that if France had won, Macron himself would have called Putin and asked for congratulations. If France had won, Macron would have called Putin and asked for congratulations. That is from Lukashenko. Anyway, I thought that was interesting, an interesting comment from Putin with regards to the World Cup. The clown world is the Zelensky regime's response to being snubbed at the World Cup. And here is what the Zelensky regime said with regards to being snubbed from giving a speech at the World Cup, where Zelensky was going to speak before the match and call for world peace. He was going to get onto the greatest stage of sport and tell the people that Ukraine wishes for world peace, but FIFA snubbed him. So the Zelensky regime, they said that no matter who wins, this is their response to being snubbed and before the game, no matter who wins today, FIFA has already lost. That was their response. That was their tweet to getting snubbed, for getting snubbed for the World Cup. Even though FIFA blocked this message from being aired at the stadium before the final game in Qatar, the world still heard our appeal. That's some serious copium. That's some serious coping from the Zelensky regime. Yeah, I think the match was so good And I think the World Cup was an absolute success. I think the only loser in this thing was Zelensky. That's for sure. Anyway, that is the video, guys. theduran.locals.com. Look for us on Rockfin as well. And the Duran shop, 10% off. Use the code. Good day. Take care.